Mark here. The MFF podcast has been around since 2015, and we have recorded so many fun episodes. I've loved all the people I've met, all the guests I've been able to talk about, all the weird movies, lists, battles, final fights, data posts I've been able to cover on the podcast. I thought it might be fun to re-release some episodes from 2015, 2016, 2017, just to give all of y'all, some new listeners, something to listen to. We have so many episodes of Movies, Films, and Flicks. I appreciate you listening to it, and if you haven't checked out our older stuff, I really recommend it. We've come a long way for sure, but I love the conversations we've had. So I think about once a month or so, I'm going to share one of my favorite episodes from the past on the podcast. It's called a bonus episode. You don't have to listen to it. You can listen to it, whatever you want to do. But I just want to make sure that some of our older stuff is listened to and that you'll be able to enjoy some discussions that I loved having. This particular one is Event Horizon with John Levengood. We recorded this in the low 100s and just had a great time talking about this movie in 2018. And I just wanted to share it again. All right, so thank you so much. Enjoy the episode, and we'll see you soon.
Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who, after watching the latest trailer for the newest Tremors film, took 2 tablespoons of cement, swallowed them, and now he thinks he's a hardened man.
I gotta harden up. I feel like Vin Diesel about to fight a tremor.
Really? I mean, like, so you have cement inside you right now. How's it feel?
Like I could out-grapple a graboid.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Like, so like you do the old wrestling thing, like, you know, when you walk with like your hands out in the air and you have your palms open, ready to like grab the other guy's palms, and then you like twist them down. What you know what I'm talking about? Like you're kind of like feeling them out.
Like for the sumo wrestler against Van Damme in Bloodsport.
Yeah, you're right.
He snacks and then he pulls him in for the bear hug. I will bear hug a graboid. And you've seen the way I eat when I go away out of town for a weekend. I gain 15 pounds in 2 days. I think that if you gave me a week to fatten up, I will be in a graboid's weight class.
I think you would let the graboid eat you so you could eat it from like the belly out.
So I could pull a Kevin Costner Mariner Sea Beast kill. He killed that thing so easily. I want to know what caliber his harpoon gun was, because it didn't just shoot a harpoon in the side of the animal. It like exploded like it had a detonation.
Yeah, and I've watched that clip hundreds of times. There's no missiles in there. There's no like electricity. So it's just kind of, if he shot that thing in real life, it just would have gone in the monster.
He had a chewed up bubblegum sized bit of C4 attached to that. I'm serious. And Mark, by the way, I think we mentioned it. Mark wrote a thesis. He wrote like 700 or 800 words, and he has like original illustrations not harvested from the internet depicting this whole scenario. But like that thing legit explodes out of both sides.
Yeah, and I don't get it. That movie, and you know the whole thing is those women are fishing and they're just being proactive. They're like, hey, we're gonna catch fish. He takes his fishing poles and he throws them off the boat. And then he turns on his trolling motor, but he doesn't unleash his cable. He just takes a cheeky rope and gets dragged by it, gets eaten by the monster. The boat floats away. The monster sinks. He gets out. He leaves his gun. He catches the boat, turns the boat around, dives down, cuts off slabs of meat, swims back up. Then he has to start a fire. He has massive things of meat. This is a long process.
But let's just say that, because when we saw him at the floating stronghold, he swam pretty fast.
Oh, yeah.
And let's just say that the thing sinks slowly. But it's still a lot of time, right? And the other thing is that if he swims down 200 feet quickly, he's going to get the bends.
Yep. I mean,
fish.
I actually broke down all the speed that he goes, the speed that the creature goes, the speed that it sinks, how fast the boat is going. I broke down every facet of this stupid scene.
I mean, when you get a whale that is ascending or descending in the water, the whale's body is a lot bigger. It has more resilience to the pressure of the water, right? It's not immune to it though, right? But so if you have a human body though, it's not like they're just adapted to be at any pressure. Deep sea fish can't just rise quickly. It needs to be gradual, and they have limits. you can't just move a deep sea fish up 200 feet and have it be fine.
Costner ain't got no limits.
Apparently not. He's like one of the later Fast and Furious sequels in terms of handling water pressure, where now they're all Marvel superheroes.
Yeah. Like they're like a combination of Snake Plissken from Escape from LA, Kevin Costner from Waterworld, and Stallone from Cliffhanger. Because Stallone in that film takes Leon and presses him up in the air and spikes him through a massive, I don't know, whatever hangs from a cliff, a cave.
That's impressive.
I mean, who wins? Cliffhanger, Mariner, Snake Plissken.
I mean, come on, man. If people have heard our pod from day one, they know we got to go with Kurt Russell.
I asked that question. I went, that's stupid. Snake Plissken wins.
Yeah, I mean, if you take out Snake Plissken, it's like that. It's a little tougher.
I mean, they cut out a scene in the Cliffhanger trailer. So I just wrote a post about The Rock jumping from the skyscraper. Of course he's going to die, but I went from an angle of like who else has done this. And if you look at the skyscraper poster with The Rock jumping, you'll see that's just a very far distance. But I saw a trailer for Cliffhanger where he jumps perfectly horizontal. He jumps like 40 feet just across.
It's too much.
And it never
with
made
the prosthetic leg.
And some guy but in a Cliffhanger.
Oh, in Cliffhanger.
He does a 40-foot totally horizontal jump.
So he did a McConaughey leap.
Yeah, and it wasn't in the movie. So I was like, guys, it doesn't count. Because a lot of people were bringing up I was like, humans only with no special powers, and people are like, The Matrix. I'm like, no.
Right.
Yeah.
He jumped like a quarter mile in The Matrix. It's like, yeah, in a computer simulation.
Yeah. Wanted. No. Like John Carter. I mean,
Fry
green tomatoes.
When I was Super Mario, I jumped and headbutted a ceiling block of metal so hard that a flower came out of it. I'm not going to try that in real life.
Yeah,
I will die. I will die.
Someone did say Mario. But these are non-propelled humans jumping, and The Rock broke every record known to man.
They're like Sonic the Hedgehog with the rolling start.
Yeah.
Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Hulk jumps miles at a time.
But Mark Ruffalo tries it. He's not clearing much ground.
He with a standstill, he's clearing like 4 feet.
He's rolling an ankle.
All
right, so before we get into our listener questions, if you were fighting a tremor, would you fireman carry it? Or would you try to put it in a head and arm? Because that'd be pretty easy, because it's just a big head.
Grappling it would be tough. I just know that I'd have to start the same way that I'd start if someone dipped an axe into a fish, and I just have to get a running start drop kick on them.
Yeah. Oh, kick it right in the side?
Yeah, just see what happens. That will also be me testing the water.
Yeah.
See what I can get with it. But I mean, I kind of like the idea of it eating me, but do you think that the proportionality of me to a graboid is similar to Kevin Costner to the Sea Beast?
No, I think you'd be dead.
Because it would chew me. It would have to snap me somewhere.
You can't dive right. Like, remember in Land of the Lost, Will Ferrell dives into the T-Rex's mouth, then comes out its butt? Like, you couldn't do that with a tremor.
You know what would happen? It would snap off my legs. I'd still defeat it by ripping out from the inside. Then I get 2 prosthetic legs, and then I jump 60 feet from a crane like The Rock.
Oh, there it is. Tremor 5.
That's how The Rock's character in Skyscraper ended up with the prosthetic leg.
A tremor bit it off?
Tremor, because he killed a tremor single-handedly. That's why.
I like it. That's his backstory. I don't need to see the movie now.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to see the prequel now, though, because I want to see him fight Tremor.
That sounds more exciting than Die Hard with The Rock.
See, like Luke Hobbs from Fast and Furious, he would just punch it once and it would explode because he's superhuman. But this is like a schlub who happens to be an amateur bodybuilder in his spare time, but a schlub nonetheless. So I pay to watch that fight.
I came up with a funny title because he has Rampage, San Andreas, Skyscraper, all these movies about natural disasters. I want to see a movie called The Day After Dwayne Johnson. Like Dwayne,
it's like it's the next day after a Fast and Furious movie. You just see the city.
Oh no! Like let's say somehow he's out of commission, and then the world just goes terrible because there's no one there to fist fight tsunamis.
Someone's got a fist fight, then it's not Owen Wilson. He's just gonna run from them.
Whoa! No, wait. He said, "Wow." That's what Owen Wilson does. Wow. And Keanu Reeves goes, "Whoa." And Ernest goes, "You know what I mean, Vern?"
And then he gets no response. I miss Jim Varney.
All right, guys, we're going to get into this topic. It's a great topic. We've actually been really excited, but I got to tell you a story about Ernest. And so he started off in commercials, and Ernest was like a huge brand back in the day. Just millions of people saw commercials with Ernest. One Christmas, there was an ad where Ernest was trying to go into Vern's Christmas party, and Vern just straight up was like, no, and shut the door in his face, so Ernest had to spend Christmas alone. People were so mad about this ad, they had to go back and film a 15-second ad for New Year's, where Vern opens up the door, and Ernest goes, hey, Happy New Year, Vern, and smashes him with a pie to, like, get his revenge. And that's not even Ernest. Ernest wouldn't do that. But people were so enraged at Vern that they had to film Ernest getting back at Vern because thousands of people were sending in letters.
And then in all the movies where he mentions Vern, they could never show Vern's face again because they know people would go into blood rages.
28 days later, zombies just attacking Vern.
Okay. Well, I think we have, pretty sure we got some listener questions today.
Yeah, and all these listener questions, they tie to something, right?
Well, all of our listener questions are specifically about today's movie that we're discussing.
And we've been talking about this film. 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a Costco parking lot, and you and I were talking about whether a director's cut would be better or worse for the film we're talking about, Event Horizon. And we were like, man, we have great conversations. And now it's come full circle where we're podcasting about it on our 118th episode.
As it turns out, at the end of the episode, our very last listener question is specifically about that.
Nice. I mean, I remember I was just I wasn't even going inside Costco. We were just sitting in the car. I was like talking to you about it.
Dude, ever since I saw this, well, I shouldn't say ever since DVDs were out, existed, and I saw it again, I feel like that's the thing that every movie lover who sees this movie says. They're like, man, I wonder what the extended cut, or I wonder what the unrated cut, or I wonder what the director's cut, just insert special cut here. I wonder what that would be like. And everyone is specifically thinking about like those horrible visions of hell. Not that there aren't other cool things that there could be, right? But yeah, so all the questions are about Event Horizon today. We even have some comments about it too that we'll share. But first one, all these, by the way, came from Twitter. The first one comes from Scarescapes. That's at D Carner with a K on Twitter. And Scarescapes asks, what could be creepier than a ship that opens a portal to hell?
As a joke, I just kind of thought a clown car that opens to a portal to hell.
Well, clowns are pretty... So did the clowns come out all with like a visage of like hell?
No, you're stuck in it with them.
So wait, not only am I in hell, but I'm in a crowded car where I can barely move, and it's filled with scared clowns that are panicking?
Yep.
That does actually sound like even more uncomfortable than simply being in hell.
And you can't really move because you're locked in. So you're just...
Oh, dude, so if you see something coming, if the it that follows was coming towards you, you're just stuck, like against the rear passenger window, like with your cheek pressed against it, looking at the it that follows that's coming towards you in hell.
And all these clowns are crying and ripping out their eyes and just having a blood orgy in the car. And you're just sitting there, squish. You can't move. You can't move. You have a hand stuck, like someone's rubbing the back of your head. Like, it's just like a clown car to hell.
I was kind of wondering, though, so when they say what could be creepier than this, and having seen the movie and the things that the movie does, and it is haunting you about, like, people who died, and someone is haunted by their very sick child. I can't, like, creepy kids in horror movies is one thing. Ghost kids is one thing. If it is your kid that is literally haunting you over your guilt in a hell ship like that, it's really hard to beat that. So I just had to go with generic answers, like honestly, evil baby movies.
Or what about a evil boat that's surrounded by
like Ghost Ship?
That's like Ghost Ship
surrounded by zombie sharks.
Yeah, surrounded by zombie sharks. But see, the thing is, you could jump out of the boat. But what's in the water? Like, you're in the middle of the ocean, you're dead anyway.
Maybe the boat's nice. Is there an orchestra?
It's like The Shining, but a boat.
Oh, okay. That's not cool then.
Right? So you're on this boat, and you're like, I could jump in the water, but I'm in the middle of the Pacific. It's stormy out, and you're going to probably drown.
That's not pleasant.
So, I mean, the thing is, though, you have an out. In space, you don't have an out. because you're stuck, right? So